There's going to be some of you out there that say, why is he doing another video reacting to someone else's reaction about Angine De Poitrine? Here's the thing, okay. I still think some of these biggest YouTubers, like people who have just, 700 to 2 million subscribers on their channels, really respect their channels and their information. But why do they keep getting this wrong? Like, I don't know. Everyone keeps talking about this band being microtonal, being weird, the costumes and all of that stuff. And I just wanted to come on here and say once again, there is something that people are missing. It's just really catchy. Check this out. Check what Emily Hopkins here, who's really great, very talented, excellent channel. Check out what she says here.
The barrier to entry for weird music is usually way higher than most people think. If you just label something as experimental, microtonal, or avant-garde, most people are already gone. They've decided it's not for them before they've even heard a single note. But
wait, that's true. If you label something as microtonal, avant-garde, or something like that, people look at the labels and then they just bolt. Okay? That's true. Very, very true what she's saying. And that's why a lot of the reactions and a lot of the people who reviewed it, I was looking at that going like, why are you just focusing on that? There's a bigger thing that you're not focusing on. Anyway, let's keep listening to Emily here.
if you take that same music and wrap it in something visually interesting, confusing, or funny, it suddenly becomes approachable. And I feel like people underestimate how important that is. You could even see it in the way that people talk about them, because there's this constant attempt to decode what they're doing. Like, if you take away the masks, the mystery, and the aesthetics, you'll finally get to the real thing underneath. Everyone's like, oh, what does it all mean? What's a triangle mean? The confusion is the thing. The masks are the thing.
Okay, before we go there, she's bang on right there. Absolutely correct. You know, it's wrapped up in something that's unique, and there's nothing else like it on the internet. And that's one of the big things that caught people's attention right away. And, you know, that's the hook, the gimmick. But there's still something underlying. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I touched upon it in the other video with the police, but I'm going to show you another example in a second about the connections to something else that you're probably not thinking of. So just stick with me.
I also have to admit something else.
What?
I listened to Angine De Poitrine on Spotify. Without the visuals, it doesn't hit as hard.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really embarrassed to admit that. It's not the same when you just listen to it without looking at them. But the visuals add to the music. I don't think that's bad. The fact that people don't immediately know how to categorize this is what makes them engage with it differently. And I think that's where a lot of the criticism kind of misses what's actually happening. Because even...
Okay, that's true. Now, she doesn't like it without watching the visuals. So that's her aesthetic, that's her taste, okay? Just like two people sitting at a table having the exact same meal. One person likes it, the other person doesn't. And it's the exact same meal. It's just taste, right? So, and the other thing is, like, one of the things that really just astounded me was the amount of comments I got about my reactions and my comments about this band, which means that this band makes people think, they makes people talk about it. It makes people want to react. So why do we want to react? Okay. I think it's great. I learned so much from so many comments that people were giving me, and you know, I want the comment section in my videos and all of that to be. Yeah, it's kind of cool actually that my channel's not big, because I get to read a lot of the comments. I know some of the bigger channels, there's just way too many comments for people to respond to. I try and respond to as many as I can, especially ones that show me different music. One of the things that we did back before the internet was that we got together and we listened to music together. We listened to music, you know, in a room together around a record player, around a CD player, cassettes. We sat in the car, we listened to them together, and we reacted and we debated. Does this sound like this? Does this sound like that? Oh my God, this part sounds like, you know, this Police song. This song sounds like a Led Zeppelin riff. We just talked about music, and that was our comment section. And we listened to music more communally. Now we're siloed in these little, you know, rooms by ourselves with our AirPods on, watching YouTube videos, and the comment section is where we share this information. So many of you introduced me to different bands and different ideas about Angine De Poitrine and the influences, and we discussed it in the comments, and that's really valuable. She doesn't like it without the costume, it didn't hit as hard for her, and that goes to show her that her taste for that type of maybe repetitive music or catchy music or goofy sounding music. It's just not her. It's just not her cup of tea, which is absolutely fine because music. There's a million versions of correct, right? When it comes to music, because it's all subjective, and so I think that what they're missing, though, is this propensity for Angine De Poitrine's music to catch your ear. And I'm going to play you something here by a group that I listened to for forever. They're a duo from the very, very early 60s. They were the very first pioneers of one of the very first pioneers of electronic music. They used the Moog modular, and they basically took some other music, some classical music, and they electrified it. They made electronic versions of it. It's Jean-Jacques Perret from Paris, and I believe his name is Gershon Kingsley, and they had a duo. And Kingsley and Perret, or Perret and Kingsley, as some of I think that's the way they were going. Have a listen to this. Okay, you can look at that. I mean, it's incredibly infectious. It's goofy. Sounds like Looney Tunes. You know, this is so groundbreaking because everything at the time, if it was pop music, it was sort of blues based. The Beatles were just starting to come out with, catchy tunes based on blues riffs and 12-bar blues and, with the backbeat. Bands like the Ventures were coming out. Perret and Kingsley were experimenting with electronic music way before anyone else. And they were coming from the classical world, coming from the instrumentalist world. And if you can listen to that, you can hear the repetition, the stops and the starts. And check this out in one of Angine's songs on Volume 2. Okay, and I'm going to play you just a bit of the Perry and Kingsley tune again. I know it's a different tempo and all that, but listen to the similarities. These guys took the world by storm back then, and Angine De Poitrine is taking the world by storm right now. And why? In my opinion, it's because it's super catchy. It's just really catchy music. Now, in another thing is that I mean the fact that they put this chutzpah song on here, which is kind of like, it's got a polka vibe. It's got all of that in there. I think, in the UK, they call there's a term called taking the piss, which means just making fun of, sort of poking fun at somebody. And there's a sense of humor that Angine De Poitrine have. You can see it, of course, with all of their videos and their approach to things. They don't take themselves too seriously. I think that's one of the things that people love about it, because there's so much like pretension these days. And in music, and and that's good. That it has a place, to be serious and all of that. It has a place, but Angine De Poitrine is just great music to put on, and work to or whatever, or drive your car. It's exciting. It's new. It's just positive, and it doesn't matter that it's microtonal. It doesn't matter that it's in weird time signatures. It doesn't matter. That's all cool. The costumes are cool. The look is cool. It's all good, but at the core of what they do is extremely catchy and infectious music, earworms, as they say in Germany. I don't know what my channel, when I'm talking about this stuff, I don't know why I like the fact that this reaction video did well for me, because I get to connect in a way with people and have, like I mentioned earlier, that sort of communal talk about music kind of vibe. And another thing is that, I'm not really sure. I started this channel to have a place to share my music and to share my guitar technique. And I don't really know. Sometimes I feel like I'm throwing macaroni at the wall to see what sticks. And it was very, it was kind of a neat thing that doing this reaction video connected me with some music fans and people who wanted to talk about music. So let me know what you think about what I'm saying here in this, and what you think about what some of these big music bloggers, what they miss, why they keep focusing on, certain aspects of Angine De Poitrine's music, and let me know if you think I'm incorrect, and we'll take it from there. So thanks once again, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.